I drove all 48 states. Here's what surprised me. Over the years, I visited over 70 countries, taken 34 cruises, but one of the most interesting journeys I ever did was driving my car through all 48 states, the lower 48 as they say, and then I took cruise ships to the other two, Alaska and Hawaii. So I've seen all 50 states, and some things about America really surprised me. My name is Gary Dean, and I'm the Blue Hat Bucket List Traveler. This channel is where I will share the stories of travel in the world by cruise ship and car and plane, and I will share the lessons I learned while doing it. So how did it start? Gonna see all the 48 states and 10 provinces. I did do both. I drove across both. So I bought a new car. Let's start there. If you're gonna do that kind of traveling, good to have a brand new one. 0 miles. So I wanted a big one because I'm going to do the highway. 2021 GT Mustang 5-liter. So it was nice. It was I got the full load, so it was comfortable, and it was big. And I bought a manual, so once you got it into 6th gear, it just coasted down the highways at 70, 80 miles an hour. So and you could drive it 10, 12 hours and not be sore. It's an amazing car for long road trips. Gonna commute in the city, not a good car, but gonna do road trips, it was amazing. So that's how it started. I bought that car in 2021 and travel opened up again in 2022. So let's do it, right? My girlfriend come over from the Philippines, and I said, we've flown some places, but let's drive to them all. We're going to see all 48 states in this car. And luckily for me, she enjoyed the traveling. She's easygoing. She's okay sitting there in the car for hours, looking out the windows and just seeing it. You know, it's one thing to fly places and see them, but to drive, you actually get to experience the landscape and the sunrises and the sunsets and just everything. So that's how it started. And so the first big trip was, I was in Vancouver and she's down in Los Angeles. She flew into Los Angeles, so I got to drive down there. So that was 2 days driving. It was around 22, 23 hours. So drove down, stopped somewhere in Upper California, and then finished the drive into LA the next day. So that was the first really long trip in the Mustang. And it was great. It was, the modern car now, it has, all you had to do was put it on cruise control, and it has auto braking. It makes sure it keeps the right distance and the speed. So, and the wipers are automatic. The windshield wipers are automatic. The lights are automatic. Everything's automatic in that thing. You just have to steer, right? Sit back, put on the tunes. For me, sometimes the self-help, listen to a bit of Tony Robbins, get some positive attitude going. But just driving. So yeah, so that was my first trip was around 22, 23 hours over a couple days, getting down to Los Angeles to pick her up. So I pick her up, and then we drove up. We did some tours of Los Angeles because she hadn't seen it, and then we drove up to San Francisco. Did that, saw the Golden Gate Bridge, did all that, spent a couple days. So we would drive and then spend 2-3 days so we could kind of recoup and then go again. And then we drove across, did the Route 66 and like that. But our first trip was all the way over to Miami. I think we came in we went across the top. So we ended up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Yeah. And then I barely know the states and the places, but and then down through Georgia and into Florida, and then back out, and then along the Gulf Coast through Texas all the way back to Los Angeles. Went up into Big Bear, some of that through California, and then down to San Diego, and then looped around and back into Los Angeles. That took a month. That was a month, counting 2-3 days in some places to rest, and a lot of driving. If you figure out the miles on that, it was a lot of road trip. But we saw so much. It was so amazing. I really loved it. So on a trip like that, you're going to see the desert. You're going to see the mountains. You're going to see you're going to see green. You're going to see burnt. Amazing sunrises and sunsets. Texas. I loved all of it. Every state is really so different in landscape, and the roads were all amazing. The interstates in America they're fast and they're big and they're wide. Is it dangerous? Well, yeah. I mean, you're not going to drive 10, 11 hours on a freeway and not encounter what has been an accident or could have been. put it that way. Sometimes you just have close calls. So it is like that. Like I said, that car drives itself. So it was very, very easy to get through that kind of, traffic and whatnot. Sometimes unlucky, you hit a city at 4 o'clock or something and it's rush hour. Sometimes though you go through at 1 in the afternoon and you just go right through. So it's like that. Travel is travel. I set it up so that the day was a 10-hour drive. Sometimes the time changes affected some of that, which was bad. Sometimes I got in a little late because of that. But, you can't show up early. The hotel's rooms aren't ready anyways. So you want to space it out. And that 10 hours, it pretty much, going to work out between 10, 11, 9.5, just depending on traffic. So that's how I did it. I just planned, okay, we're going to do 10 hours, 10 hours, 10 hours. And if it was, nothing I wanted to see, I just made sure I hit every state, but I didn't even stop. I just drove through them. You know what I mean? And what were some of the amazing things? Well, let's go with Mount Rushmore. Super, super neat. Yellowstone Park, Old Faithful. Wow. The Gulf Coast. Panama City, Florida. The white sand beaches and that were just super, super wow. Myrtle Beach with the big wheels, the Ferris wheel and all that. Just every place is the food of different, the lobsters. Now you're on the ocean, the steaks if you're in Texas, the ribs if you're in Memphis, all of it. It's just, yeah. So for me, it was every city made sure I saw something. North Dakota, Fargo, right? And they even had some of the stuff from the movie there. Stuff like that. I just, Milwaukee, go by the brewery, and sometimes sports stadiums. Okay, let's see. Okay, we're in St. Louis. Let's go see where the Cardinals play. Honestly, St. Louis, that arch, wow. I could see it for miles coming up that highway. I was amazed. Some things were bigger than I ever thought they would be, and that was a pleasant surprise. I loved. And I love the driving. Just for me, it's like meditation. It's just very relaxing. It's slow pace. It's not like, you got to get to the airport, you got to get on that plane, you got to get over there, go, 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 go. No, you're on the road, right? You're an hour late, who cares? Just get there, right? No pressure, stop for lunch, put your feet up, the different diners and just all of it. I love the experience and the people, the different accents as you travel through the different states. People are very nice. Why not? It's mostly restaurants, so you're dealing with waiters and waitresses. They're paid to be nice, so they are nice, like that, right? Gas stations, hey, I'm kind of lost, how do I do that? And don't get lost so much anymore because GPS is a big thing now. It's, built right into these new cars, so that GPS was amazing. It's not like the old days when I used to travel when I was young. I had 13 pages of printed out notes, and you're trying to follow that by the light in the car because you're late and it's dark and you're lost. And those days are gone. The GPS is just really a game changer. And if it says you're going to be there 9.5 hours, you could do 1,000 miles an hour. You're not going to beat that timer. It's always exact. It knows the traffic conditions all across that whole route and where the slow spots are and the fast spots are. You're not going to beat the timer. So you just sit back and we're going to be there at that time. Like I said, the time changes, sometimes an hour here, 2 hours there, that can throw you for a bit of a loop, but you just, you keep traveling. I stayed at Hampton Inns a lot if they had them. I love the free breakfast. It is easy to figure out food in the morning, then get a good meal and then get on the road. And I had a lot of timeshares, and I'll do a video on the timeshares. I had a lot of World Marks and Wyndhams and Hiltons, so those were great to use on those trips because it was 3 days, 2 nights, and that's what we wanted to stay. Just rest up a couple nights and then get back out there and do another 10 hours kind of thing to get farther across America and back. And then, like I said, I did all 10 provinces. I drove from Vancouver all the way to Quebec City in Quebec. That took days to get across Canada, but I loved it. I loved it just as much as seeing America, the different landscapes and the people. Never had any problems. It was always, very, very nice, and loved it as much as I loved going across America. America, though, has more to see. It's every state has something, whereas in Canada, not sure what the big thing to see in Regina would be or whatever, on Highway 1. But, we did go see, we always found something to look at, but there's not as much tourism stuff as there is in America. But it's just the landscapes were amazing. Going through Ontario, through the big rocks, that highway going through there. They had to really blast things out to get her through. So that was pretty cool. And then I can say, the best part was just stumbling upon things, right? One time we were coming out of Vegas and we were going back up through the desert part because it was getting to be late in the season. We didn't want to get caught in snow. And so we were going up through there, going to come up all the way up to Idaho and then cut over back to the coast, go over the mountains once we were farther up there. And I pull in and get gas, and there's all these UFO things and alien dolls and all this stuff. And so I said to the gas station lady, why is all this stuff? And she's like, oh, this Area 51 is just about 15 minutes from here. I'm like, what? Yeah. Okay, well, let's go over there, right? So that was, just stuff like that. That was probably one of the most amazing things I stumbled upon. That was pretty neat to be down in there. And, they had gift shops. We drove over there and they had some gift shops set up and the warnings, that you're there and, you can't do this and you can't do that. And it was pretty neat. That was one of my coolest stumble upon things because most things were planned, but that was a stumble upon one. And that was, I love my I don't know, Highway 301 or something, but I got the shirt anyways, and it's got the alien on it. It's pretty cool. So on this channel, I'll share more about those drives. It took a few trips to see all 48 states, obviously, and 10 provinces, and then I'll go over more of the cruises, and then also I did lots of trips, Formula One, MotoGP. I did a lot of experience type trips, flying. So I'll cover all of that on this channel. Again, just come with me, ride shotgun. When I started doing this kind of stuff, there was guys that were really cheering me on, and some of them passed away. Life can just take turns on you, and luckily my health has been good. But some of those guys aren't here anymore, and they were riding shotgun with me a lot, and I was glad to have them. They enjoyed the trips, and I still have people that do, and I hope you'll follow along too and just come with me. Got nothing to sell you. Just enjoy the videos. Hopefully you enjoy me. bit of a funny guy sometimes. But yeah, I'm a happy guy anyways. I enjoyed it. Like I said, though, I'm going to retire from it. I have now retired to Thailand. That's where my home is. So again, like how I lived in the Philippines, now I live in Thailand, and I live somewhere where people dream of going. And if they do go, they get to spend 2 weeks, and now I get to spend, year round there. So no, I'm very grateful. I'm very lucky for my life. I designed my life to be like this, and it worked out. So you need a bit of luck to have things work out. Thanks for joining me.